So you are a 3D life coach, a psychotherapist, a witch, as we all know, and an amazing author. The founder also of Wild Women's Retreats, which I'm very interested in. First, if you could tell us, what is 3D life coaching exactly? Is it more of a holistic approach than regular life coaching?
Well, I think so, yes. And it's absolutely great to be here, Amira. I'm really pleased that we've managed to make it at last. 3D coaching, yeah. Most coaching is really about trying to give you solutions to problems that you have.
Hmm.
Um, they will go to the roots, but it depends on the training of the life coach involved, how far they feel that they wish to go or feel competent to go. Um, I'm trained as a psychotherapist as well, a transpersonal psychotherapist. So I have all that training, which enables me, gives me lots of tools to help people if they want to dive down to the roots. So that's part of where I'm coming from, and the other part of it is the witch bit, which I know you want to talk about later. Um, but if you think of how am I going to do this? Think of a person and their personality and their business and their life and everything as a tree.
Okay.
And so the bit that you know best is probably the trunk.
Mm.
And you probably know the branches a bit too. But you walk around on top of the roots and you never see them. And you don't get up to the top of the branches, not unless you're that kind of person who scales trees. So most of the time you're living in this sort of middle area.
Mm.
And that is largely dominated, particularly in our modern society, by thinking, by
Mm.
our brains. And we're told, what do you, well, ask, what do you think about this? And we have this awful tendency to answer sometimes, well, I think I feel. And of course, me goes, well, which? Are you thinking or feeling?
Feeling.
And it's not separated. And actually, that's important. I grew up with a crazy family, as you know, and
Mm.
one of my dad's phrases, which I have never forgotten, and I do use with clients, is, "Look, while you're working this out, why not give your brain sixpence and tell it to go play with the traffic?" Now that sounds a bit rough to most people, so you can say, "Give it sixpence and tell it to go on holiday if you like," but the idea is your brain gets in the way, and how many people actually use their instincts that
Very
you
little, actually.
I mean, I know you, I know me, we've got our friends, that kind of thing. But oh well, I don't know, my gut's sort of saying it's not okay, but but it is really, look, it's a really nice place and the food's good,
Mm.
and your gut's saying get out of there, and later you realize that actually gut was right and something was wrong and it wasn't for you. And then the other part that we absolutely hardly ever use, let's put it that way, rather than absolutely, is the intuition.
Yeah.
And we sort of, well, I don't know, but I sort of think so and so is so and so, and we say think again, and I just had this feeling about it, and goodness me, I dreamed about that last night, and we just go, oh well, it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence,
It's a coincidence, yeah.
actually, and this comes. Well, I take this greatly with Jung, the psychologist, Jung, lovely man, and he talks about four functions, and that is the guts, the body, the feelings, the heart, the mind, the thinking, and the intuitive self, our intuition.
Mm.
So we just use this one.
True.
We've got four, and we only use this one.
True.
Um, Now, if you had a whole load of tools available to you for your garden, for redecorating your house, for doing your business, you use all of them, don't you?
Hmm.
So the 3D coaching is about taking it. Now, learn how to listen to your intuition, learn how to work with your guts. Allow your feelings. If you get an emotional thing, don't go, oh, I'm sorry, and stop it. Go,
Mm,
I'm really feeling this. What's going on? Because 10 to 1, you'll help somebody else,
mm,
even if you're just selling them a bag of nails.
true. That's really
So
true.
this is what it's about. It's three-dimensional instead of, just the thinking dimension. We're going into the guts and the intuition and the heart as well. We're not chucking the thinking out, but we're saying sort of like, now you do the useful thing. Yeah? You do the useful thing. I mean, how can you drive a car without thinking? How can you add up your accounts without thinking? How can you sort out a list of what you're going to do today without thinking? You can't.
True.
Then don't get thinking about, whether you really like this person. Don't get intellectual about it. Think, actually I don't. I don't know why I don't, but actually I don't. Or actually this person is gorgeous and I
Mm,
don't know why, but I really want to know them better.
mm.
So that's what it's about. That's what I
And
do.
if you don't mind me asking, uh, is it for all ages? Because I know that it's kind of tough, with certain, let's say, category of ages for them to be able to connect, let's say, to their intuition or to their um, that gut that you were talking about. So is it for all ages?
It's for all ages of willing people.
Okay.
But and I think every coach would say this, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't make them do it. You can offer your stuff and they get turned on by you, or they go, oh, I'm not going to do that. And that's fine. That's where they are. Um, I don't work with children, but it's
Okay.
absolutely ideal for anyone who does because children are all still there until they've
Mm,
been squashed.
mm.
Um, so yes, it works for anybody. What's the oldest person I've worked with? About mid 60s,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and she she came along and sort of said, I don't know what the flipping heck is going on, but it's about time I got my act together.
Okay.
And fine. I mean, that was absolutely lovely. And I mean, an older person often can do that because
Hmm.
it doesn't matter so much. And I don't usually work with people really until they get to be about 28, 30.
Okay.
Don't usually want to,
Okay.
but occasionally you get one who does.
All right.
And I won't turn anybody away once we've decided that we can work together and it is going to happen.
Okay. Do you think it's because maybe of them, when you're younger, a bit, for example, less than 28, they still don't see that there's anything um of the matter, let's say, basically that everything they're doing is fine and normal and okay. I don't know if I
A
question if I
bit.
said this
And
properly.
I think, I mean, I remember you're very confident really at that time. It's sort of like, yeah, I'm
That
doing
was the word,
this.
yes,
I'm
confidence,
at
excuse me.
my job. I've got this job. I'm, doing what I want to do, or I'm earning millions of quid, or any what it's working for me.
Yeah.
Um, if they have that confidence, then no, they actually don't need it because it's quite a good
Mm,
idea to go and screw up a bit before you start
mm.
working your life out.
I
It really,
actually like that.
how did I do
Uh,
that?
I really like that sentence, actually.
And I'm going to quote my poor wretched father again because, again, he taught me this right from being a kiddie. Was everybody makes mistakes. The person who hasn't made a mistake has never made anything. But the trick is to learn to make mistakes successfully. So that is again part of what I help people to gain for themselves, to find in themselves that actually the sun is still shining, the cat still loves them, possibly even their partner is still there, and likely they'll be able to get through this cock up at work today. And doing it will help them. Now, we don't do that again, guys. You know? And so you get learning, you get a bit bigger. If you beat yourself up and you start apologizing and start resigning from everything like that, well, you're missing opportunities. And so are the
True,
people you're working with.
true. How would you just how would you describe your approach to coaching? I mean, obviously with each person it's completely
Yes,
different,
please.
but is there something that you use um, as a common point for everybody? Is there a certain approach that you use a lot, basically?
Yes. One of the first things when sometimes it happens in a preliminary chat, but sometimes it happens like in the first session. We get to the first thing is like, tell me about why we're here. What would you like out of this? So it's like, what do they want? What are they looking for? This is going to change if they're in a package or something. You know, like they've got 9 sessions. It's not going to be the same at package 1 as it is by the time we finish at package 9.
Mm,
But we might as well start from where we're going. We know where we're going. We know where we are on the map with that. So that's the starter. And then there's, because that usually involves quite a lot of like, oh but this, you know,
mm,
and oh but that, and
mm,
regrets and if onlys and all this kind of thing. And then we sort of go through that, and then it's like, well, okay, so if you really could have anything you want, what would really make your heart sing?
mm,
And that usually sort of stops, and they'll go into a little quiet, you know, and you hold the space for them. And they go, well, actually, the thing that's making my heart sing is I remember as a teenager, I was sat on the top of this tour on Dartmoor. And you go, okay, so what's it like there? What's happening? What do you feel? And of course, then it all comes out, you know, that it's the place, the space, the massive view, the lovely feel of the wind, nobody around, the trees, the birds, whatever it is,
mm,
comes out. And then we sort of say, okay, well, we're sitting here in this muddle, and this is where you would like to be. So, I mean, there's some of your roots that are messed up, and there's the flowers in your branches that you're aiming at. And say, well, okay, let's see what we can do about sorting these roots out a bit, and then see where that takes us. And so it's very much, it's all client led, of course, but it's what you're really trying to do is get them to tell you their story.
mm,
And, you know, what is your story now? How would you like to rewrite this? How would you like to edit it? I don't usually say those kind of things until we get to about stage 3 because it all sounds a bit technical. And what you want is to get the stuff out there so that we can all play with it. But they end up with this, you know, yeah, I'm rewriting it. And they start even in little tiny steps from, you know, from session 1, and they'll find, actually, that makes me feel better. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Little steps. Next step, let's see where we're going from here.
I feel like right now booking a coaching session with you right now, right this second.
Thank you.
Because
You are
you're,
very welcome to come anytime.
no, I really want to. You're talking. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like opening up. And it's not usually something that I do. I don't open up to people, but just listening to you right now, I'm like, okay, we shall talk after this interview.
Well, that would be lovely.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely lovely.
I wanted to ask you also, you are the founder of Wild Women's Retreats. Can
Yeah.
you tell me a bit more about it? So, because if I'm not mistaken, you said you were doing it um, in the UK somewhere, but in Scotland and in 3 places, were
Well,
there?
I maybe at the moment I'm concentrating on doing it at my home here in
Okay,
Shropshire.
okay,
Um, the Scottish place will be lovely, but I'm not sure it's going to be there for about 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
It belongs to a friend, or it will belong to a friend of mine. She's in process with even getting there,
Okay.
and she's a life coach too, and a fellow colleague, and we work together very well. So we're thinking of doing this. It's going to be up in the mountains of Scotland, the Highlands of Scotland.
Okay.
There'll be lots of crazy stuff up there,
Okay.
and I'm hoping to take people back to my childhood place of
Yes.
Exmoor, and
Excellent.
maybe Dartmoor, but more likely Exmoor. But again, I've got to sort that out because it's complicated getting somewhere to do it and
Okay.
sorting all that kind of thing. So my home here in Shropshire is lovely, and when I found it, it wasn't at all in many ways what I was looking for. But I
Mm.
thought, oh, this is it. And it has the most fantastic views. It's sort of in the middle of nowhere and 6 miles from Shrewsbury. So I get everything I want and then I can disappear into the countryside.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And we've got walks from the back door. You don't even need a car to go for a nice walk. It's right underneath the place called the Long Mynd, which is absolutely gorgeous. And the other side of the valley is Much Wenlock and the Wenlock Edge, which is also very gorgeous. So there's lots of beauty around me, lots of lovely hills and woods and streams. And the house itself, it's a 1500 and spelling mistake farmhouse with funny rooms. I mean, this is one of them. This is our workroom where we work. And it's got two enormous bedrooms. I mean,
Okay.
there must be something like 20, 30 feet long and
Oh,
15 feet wide. So we've got like two shared accommodations. There's four people in each room. And they're very pretty, and one looks
okay.
out on one of the mountains, and the other looks out on the field with the cows in it, and enough bathrooms and all the rest of the sort of things. So I thought, all right, okay, this is what they want me to do. Don't go away, have people here.
Hmm.
And what we do is we really involve ourselves in the natural world.
Okay.
And the idea is still, again, it's about finding what makes your heart sing, finding where you are, and being with a group of women who are all supportive and all on the same sort of journey, but in different directions. And so you're actually allowed to be yourself. You're allowed to laugh and cry and be silly and make awfully rash comments that you'd never make in the pub. And you're allowed to be yourself just for the weekend and with loads of support. Now, that makes a big difference to people because we don't have these places where we can talk to people easily. And there is permission for anything except attacking my cat. Anybody who attacks my cat will be gutted and strung up. Uh, no, they don't. Nobody does anyway, and she's
I know.
gorgeous. But you can do anything you like pretty well. It's nice if we all come together, and everybody does want to come together. So everybody comes down and they sort of breakfast around each other, and somebody might have gone out for a run, or somebody might have gone out
That's
for a
lovely.
walk already and come in then. And then we have the day, and it really depends on the group of people. I've been doing this for so long, and I've got a whole store cupboard full of games and toys and things we can play with, ideas we can play with. So quite often we'll go out somewhere. There's
Okay.
some lovely places. There's a fantastic hill with amazing views and a stone circle on the top of it. There's lovely walks right along the top of the Mynd that you just go out going, ah, gawping at the, miles and miles you can see, and the streams and valleys and ponies and foxes and badgers. And then there's little valleys that you can go along with streams. Again,
Oh,
you
that's
can
beautiful.
sing with them. And we'll even do crazy things. I mean, last time I had a retreat here, which was last year, um, we all went to this lovely valley where once you get into it, You can't hear anything except nature.
Oh
There's
wow.
no human sounds, or very rarely, unless a plane goes over or
Oh,
something like that. And it's absolutely gorgeous and really beautiful, and tall hills up either side, and ravens flying over, and peregrine falcons, and all the little birds, and everything like that. And we wanted to, there's a stream that runs through, which is very good. And as a place you can go across the stream and go up this hill, and somebody wanted to do that. Well, they'd had some animals in there, so it was, and it was a lot of rain, so it was very, very muddy.
okay.
She slipped on her ass, flat
Oh,
out in the mud,
oh.
and she swore beautifully, which was amazing. So we all laughed like mad.
Okay, so nothing happened to her. Okay.
We had all checked that she hadn't sort of cracked her skull or
Yeah, I
anything.
was bracing myself for something.
No, no, nothing awful had happened, except that she was wet and muddy and a bit cross for that, but also thinking it was very funny. And it's what they often call a pratfall.
Hmm.
And she'd done it, and it was okay. We all laughed with her, and so she got up, and somebody said, "How did you do that?" And so she went and said, "Well, I just did this," and she did it again. And so after that, everybody wanted to go. Everybody was skidding and falling in the mud. And we came home looking like God knows what. You know, the shower was running continuously for an hour or so. Everybody got cleaned up.
But everyone felt free, I'm sure.
They're not done. Some of them had never done that in their lives before.
Yeah,
And otherwise, they hadn't done that since they were 5.
yeah.
And it was okay. Nobody said you're stupid. Nobody fussed, apart from just checking that you hadn't ripped your ankle or anything. And it was just like, and we came down, and there was sort of 7 of us, and came down into the village at the end, and everybody was going, and we were going, hi, hi. I thought, I mean, everybody around here, there's loads of walking, so everybody thought, oh, they're just walkers, and it's fine. But nobody was embarrassed, nobody worried, you
Oh,
know.
that's lovely.
And we don't do mud baths every time, but something crazy happens, and
Yeah,
it's like you said, it frees you up,
yeah.
and that's what the weekends are about.
So
And
it's every weekend.
it's over a weekend.
Okay, it's over a weekend.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I thought, all right, all right.
Oh
And
no, no, no!
so,
I'm not. I don't have the energy anymore to do this every weekend.
no,
Go back
for some
25
reason,
years and I might have done.
for some
Whoa!
reason, I thought it was like, let's say an entire, from one weekend to another, like one entire week, basically.
No, it's over a weekend,
Okay.
and which is so much happens. That's quite enough for people.
Okay.
You get so much happens that any more is like overload. You can't absorb it. But it doesn't mean to say. I mean, I've got people who come back more than once.
Okay.
So, but you need time in between to actually absorb it and sort it. And of course, once you've made the contact with me, there's lots of ways where you can come back and say, Ellen, I need a half-hour session with you. I just need to talk about this. And so, fine, we do that. So there's lots of support after a retreat and in between, if you're coming back
Oh, that's
again.
amazing. And it's not all year long though, right? I mean, in
No,
the winters are harsh, if I'm not mistaken.
not anymore with climate change.
Where we are.
Haven't seen snow really for about 18 months.
Oh wow. Oh
And
wow, okay.
then well, we did have a little bit for one day last winter. We had the previous winter, we actually had 5 days of it. It was
Oh,
stunning. And
oh
that
wow.
was sort of like, but we don't have harsh winters.
Okay.
But not even in Scotland now.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. It's got warmer and it's
Oh,
changed everything. But no, we, excuse me, got this
that's
horrible
okay.
disease. I need lip salve.
It's
And
okay.
no, what we do is usually March, then sometime in the summer, and then sometime in the autumn,
In the
and
autumn, okay.
occasionally do one in the winter. Some people like to come sort of like February time. And, sometimes that feels right, so we do one in February, which is very different again. And it
Hmm.
can actually be nice. It can be sunny in February here,
Okay.
which is quite pleasant. So,
Okay. Um, what advice would you give someone who is struggling with making significant life changes?
get someone you trust to walk beside you through it. It's really hard to do it on your own. I've had loads of life changes myself, and I've been fortunate every time I've had someone I can go to for coaching, for mentoring, for whatever. Um, and I've had someone I can trust to walk with me. And trying to do it on your own is really hard. To be your own mirror. A lot of coaching is about being a mirror.
Mm.
It's sort of the person wants to open up, but they don't really, and they want to, but they don't really. And so you've got to be there, sort of saying, but you just said so and so. And did you mean such and such when you said this? And then they've got someone to come back to. But it's got to be someone you trust, someone who's not going to be judgmental on you, someone who's not going to try and force you into their style of life, because that's ruinous. Somebody who can actually sort of take you there and sort of say, well, wow, I'd never have thought of doing it like that, but it works. And it's someone who will affirm you, because you need to know who you are. And
Yeah,
if somebody's knocking you down, and there's far too much of that in the world now,
true.
you're not you.
Okay. I'm going to jump into the writing bit. Um, I honestly I was loving the first part way too much, but I have to jump to the second part. So your first book was Dreamweaver,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
Yeah.
How did publishing your first book change your process of writing? Because the last one, if I'm not mistaken, is practically pagan.
Yes, it's one of the practically pagan ones, and that I didn't publish. That I published Dreamweaver myself, but I've rewritten it
Okay.
since then, and my publisher took it. Um, I've always been a fairly tight writer, without too much verbiage around the edge of things. But I found that that's got much tighter with the help of an editor. Again, it's somebody who can walk the boat process with you. Um, and as I think it happens for everybody, you write something and you know what you've written. So
Mhm.
you read it again and you see what you know in your head. You don't see the fact that you've written bat instead of cat on the page. And you don't see that what you've said doesn't quite make sense.
Mhm.
And so again, you need this help with everything, and having an editor is so good for that. And they're looking at it, of course, much more from the people who are going to read it point of view. And again,
True,
you know what you're talking about. The
true,
person who's reading your book may not have a clue.
true.
So are you just going in front of them, or are they going, oh yeah, oh I thought of that, oh yeah, that's good.
Mm,
So you need the help that will take you there. Also, there's the whole thing of printing and digital printing and all that sort of thing.
mm.
They do that,
Yeah.
and that is bliss. Because I do actually know how to do it, but it's like, really?
Yeah, I know
Rather,
what you
I'd rather vacuum the floor. It's that engaging.
mean.
I write books. They put them together, publish them, edit them, get them out there, and they actually enjoy doing that.
Okay,
So that has made an enormous difference.
okay.
And always, the more you write, the tighter and better you can get.
True. If you don't
Especially
mind. Sorry,
especially if you
yes.
get someone else to read it for you as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me.
No, which is out of all of your books, if you could choose one, Which is the one I don't want to ask you which are you most proud of, because I'm sure that you're proud of every single book
Yeah.
that you put out there.
Yeah.
But which is the one you uh have a weakness, not weakness, but the one you let's say you love the most out of all of them.
My first novel, Owl Woman.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I like writing fiction, and um, it's a book about magic, mystery, and romance, and all the messes that romance and magic and mystery all get into. Um, but it's set in that one was set in about 2000, so it's set in the everyday that we know. And in the fiction, in the novels, I can write about what I know and do, so that people are likely to at least hear it, if not understand it. Um, I haven't actually written in any of the books anything either I haven't done myself or somebody I know personally has done and I've seen. So some of it sounds fairly mad and wild, which is of course fine in fiction. You can accept that. You know, it's Hollywood rules again.
True.
But it's true. And so I feel that this storytelling thing is one of the ways I need to come out and do a lot more. I've done it all my life. My dad was a storyteller as
I know.
well.
Yeah.
And I need to do a lot more. And so I'm concentrating much more on the fiction now and hoping for being able to do storytelling online, do storytelling at conferences and things like that, which would be really nice because I think it's such a good way of helping people.
People- That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Is there something that you're working on at the moment, at the present, that you would like to share maybe with your readers? Because I know that the last book you published, was in 2021, which is practically Pagan, if
Yeah.
I'm right. Yeah. So, is there anything you're working on at the moment?
My third novel. It's nearly finished. I'm
Okay.
on its final polish and it's going to an editor in the end of January.
Okay.
It's magic, mystery, and romance again. Um, it's I think it's the best thing I've written so far. I think I
Mhm.
have learned along the way, and I am doing really well. Um, it's got some quite dark themes.
Mhm.
In the heroine has been gaslighted by her grandfather all her life. She comes from a magical family, but he's a nasty, and he's very good at gaslighting, and he's also very good at hurting people. So he's threatened the rest of the family. If you tell her anything that I don't want her to know, I will hurt her, and if necessary, I will kill her. Uh,
Oh, okay.
that's pretty dark. Um, she has to get out of this, and the friends and family organize her so that eventually she loves dancing, so she goes to London to do her first degree in dance at a contemporary dance school in London, and does very, very well. And as she's there, she's away from the grandfather, and people are able to show her what's actually happened and what she's been missing and how to do things properly. A bit. She still has to do a lot on her own. And then she meets this bloke. And it's like Doing! And he's seen her before in dreams and things like that. And he just
Okay.
goes boing, and then he's told, "You leave her alone for 3 years. She's got to learn to be herself first," which is pretty hellish for him. And then they get together, and then grandfather knows about it and starts to create havoc, and they have to
Okay.
stop him.
When do you think it's going to be out?
Well, it'd be nice if it was in the press at the end of 23. It won't be before
Okay.
then because the
It won't be before. All
publishing is
right.
very slow. but we've just got to see what actually happens, and you know that the editor sort of says yes, this is a goer, or for goodness sake, girl. I don't think she will. I
You
think
don't? Okay.
I think it's a goer.
All right.
And I'm trying it on various people. I tried first couple of chapters on a writing group that I'm part of the other
Okay.
week, and they really, yeah, go for it.
Wow,
Uh,
okay.
I've got some beta readers ready. Would you like to be a beta reader, Amira?
I would love that, actually.
Well,
I would love that.
you might well get cornered for that then,
Oh,
because
no, really. I really would.
that would be lovely. Because again, you need people who do all sorts of different things and come from different places.
True.
Sort of say that works, that works. Actually, that didn't work. Um, and then, because it'll have to go through that process again as well with the editor and with beta readers to make sure that it is tight enough. So this
Honestly, I would be honored. I would really love that.
okay, you're on the list.
Yay, thank you.
So yeah, I'm really keen on that. I've also got my editor publisher is sort of saying, "You haven't forgotten about that environmental gardening book you promised me, have you?" And I said, "No, I haven't." But so I know he's going to be bashing my ears come next year for that. And there's another novel which is
Oh,
going there like
okay.
this. And I've got to finish this one first, but I keep getting little bits. So you write a little bit of it, or
Hmm.
a little bit of backstory, or a little bit of something like that.
All
Yeah.
right. So
So
basically two books. One that you're going to finish soon and one that's still you're still working on
yeah,
up there.
the one that I'm finishing, and the one that is really right at the beginning. I mean, there's lots of what they call backstory.
Yes,
You write the bits, and you write a scene, and you write this and that,
true.
and then you sort of settle into doing that, and you pull it together and make it into a whole book. But no, it's keeping on going. It won't
Okay.
stop.
I'm sure the readers are going to be very happy about that.
I hope so.
Actually, I think they would. So if you're not writing and if you're not giving any coaching sessions, what would you be doing?
Reading,
Okay.
watching wild adventure films,
Okay.
um, playing with my cat, undoubtedly. Doing my wild garden. I'm a wild gardener,
Okay.
and I've set up, or at least I haven't set up, but I've started a WhatsApp group of local people who want to rewild their gardens, and so
That's lovely.
we
Okay.
get it together, and they come up and visit me, and we go down and visit other people's, and we're actually all meeting in the pub on Saturday to have a sort of get together and like, what are we all doing? What's happening?
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's really fun. And I help the local wildlife trust and the mammal group, and I write articles for the Mammal Society and things like that as well.
Oh,
So I'm out in nature somewhere,
that's
messing about.
lovely. Okay. All right. So here's the part that we're going to go a little bit back. I mean, they're just two questions. So your grandma was a witch, right? Your mother's mother, and your dad was a shaman. So you must have had a, or no, was I mistaken?
Um, a shaman will do.
A
Yeah,
sha
yeah.
Okay.
It's not what we call people in this country, but it'll do because everybody knows what you're talking about.
Oh, wait, what do you call them?
You're not going to be able to pronounce this.
Oh, all right, and you know what? I'm going to try.
Awareness.
What is
Awareness.
it?
Awareness.
Aweneth?
You did it.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
It means spirit keeper.
Wow, spirit
In the
keeper.
old British tongue, which is what we now call Welsh.
Watch. Oh, okay.
But
All right.
that's all down the western side of Europe. Um, the languages have got bits of
Okay.
that tongue in them still, and Cornwall and Wales certainly have, and Brittany still has, and
Okay.
that's the old people who were here. So Dad was partly from a family like that. Mum was very much from a family like that. Um, her mother was a witch from the Isle of Man, and her father was probably a Romany. It's a bit hard to
Wow.
tell. He was
Wow.
just uh, what are they called? People who used to work on the docks, carting, unloading boats and loading boats.
Uh-huh.
That longshoreman, I think they called them.
I don't know the name.
But that's what he did up in Hull. We're pretty sure he was a Romany,
Oh, that's
or at
interesting.
least partly. And
Okay.
so there's quite a lot of that in there. Dad's family had been into the old ways forever. And my mum died when I was 3.5.
Sorry.
She's still around, but she needed to go, so she went. And Dad married again when I was about 7.5, 8, and he married a local woman in the village we then lived in, and her family had owned the local sacred well, which is what
Yes.
our woman is about.
Uh,
And
okay.
um, so I've been in it all the time. People whose families have been in it for hundreds of years, millennia. You know,
Have you met your grandma?
I didn't meet any grandmas.
Okay.
They were all gone.
They're
Um,
all.
all gone. Fascinating women, but they were all gone. I met one great aunt when I was about 8 or 9. Until I was about no, so I was about 12, and then she died. Um, Fascinating women again, but that was as close as I got to any of the grandparents um, physically.
Okay.
But it then my stepmother's family I knew, and they were lovely, and they were all older people, people on the old ways. Then put it that way. So
But is there let's say a memory, a magical memory, let's put it this way, that you will always cherish?
which one?
Ouch.
Okay, let's give you Uncle Jack. Uncle Jack was a woodsman, not a gamekeeper. He looked after woods, and he absolutely knew trees, and he knew all the wildlife, and he knew the ground and the land and everything like that. And he was completely in touch with them all. And it caused me some problems when I first went to school, but he could go and he would take me with him, in the woods or into the fields. Come on, let's go and do this. And he would stand in the middle of the field with his arm right up, but I mean right up, and he'd just stand there like that. And within 2 minutes, a wild hawk or a wild falcon would be down on his fist.
Oh, oh wow.
Yeah. He taught me to call owls, which I can still do.
Really?
But I'm very careful because owls sometimes say, "Look, I'm busy. What do you want?"
I
um,
love owls. Owls and the fox, they're my two favorites actually.
they're absolutely gorgeous. We've got a lot of tawnies around here and a couple
Mm.
of barn owls. And
Oh,
apparently there are little owls not very far away, but not actually on my land, which is sad. But they're gorgeous creatures.
they are gorgeous. That's very true, they are. We don't have any here.
No.
It's unfortunate.
Well, maybe there'll be an owl around if you come to the retreat.
I am coming. I'm going to make it a point to be there. I'm going to make it a point.
Well, I will ask the owls if they will please come and be there for you.
I would definitely cry actually if I do see one.
Fine. You're more likely to hear than see. They are very, very camouflaged, and of course they hunt at night.
Yeah,
Well, not a little owl. Little owl does the day, but the barn owls and the tawnies hunt at night or in the dusk. You might see one.
they're
Oh,
lovely.
let's cross our fingers and say no,
I've
no.
got my fingers
Amira's going to
crossed.
see one. It's fine.
All right. Okay. Now, if you don't want to answer this question, it's okay because I think it's too personal. Um, because this is the last question.
Well, go
If
for it
you,
anyway.
all right, if you could invite one person to dinner, who would it be? Why? What would you talk about? Or what do you think you would talk about?
Um, can I invite a dead person?
Yeah, of course. That was the point of the question. Yeah.
Right, fine. Okay, so it would either be Albert Einstein or it would be Richard Feynman.
Okay. Why?
I'm married to an ex-particle physicist um,
Oh,
who used to be a long, long time ago. So, I've had quantum mechanics with the cornflakes for 50 years now.
oh
And I've been lucky, he's not so good at it now, but he could talk the concepts of really deep physics in the cat sat on the mat language so that I could understand it. And I
my
didn't need equations. It could be like, well, this, and this sort of thing. And you go, oh, right. And it's quite fascinating. And the other thing is, and I did know some of this before because my dad he was an engineer, but he was very interested in astronomy and and all that kind of thing, astrophysics and that kind of. He didn't know anything about it, but he's really into it. And it fits. It's a different way of talking, but it fits with the old ways that I was
yeah.
brought up in. And I had a further experience of that in 2017 because of Paul. I've been in touch, been following people on Twitter and Facebook that are in the really high level physics world, and one of the places was a place called Culham, where they do the nuclear fusion, where they're one of the places that is making nuclear fusion happen, and they do a summer school every year, 2 weeks, and they were just advertising it this sort of May time in 2007, and so if only I got any maths and was a bit younger, I'd come. Next thing, I get this direct message from the course organizer and saying, "Why don't you?" And I was like,
Oh, wow.
Give me a call. Here's my number. I think we need to talk about this." And she did. And she said, "Well, can you do the concepts?" I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Well, come. You don't have to do the maths." And I went and I had 2 weeks with, some of the top level particle physicists and that nuclear physicists in the world.
Oh
And
my God.
they'd sort of say things, I mean, you'd be there to break up and have coffee and lunch and all that kind of thing. And they'd sort of say, "Well, what do you do then?" And so I got quite brave and I sort of, was, I write crazy fantasy books and teach magic. They go, "Oh, what? How? When? How?" And "Oh, okay, fine, sit down, buy me another coffee." And so we were talking about it, and we talk about things like telepathic instant communication and what's called entanglement theory, and they are so similar.
So you were telling me about when you went and they wanted to know more about your writing.
Yeah, and this was this bunch of physicists at the nuclear fusion place, Culham, and we were talking about telepathic communication. So you instantly know something, you hear something from somebody, and
Yes.
it is so like what they call quantum entanglement.
Mm-hmm.
So they were sort of going, yeah, maybe we're talking the same thing but in different language. And it went on
Uh-huh.
through other things as well. So yeah, if I could have, I don't think I'd want Einstein and Feynman together. That could be a little heavy. But otherwise, yeah, one of them is absolutely fine.
One of
Stay the night, please.
I did not expect you to give me this answer, actually.
Well, we've not met very much before, and you don't know anything about my husband, so.
Oh, goodness.
And an awful
Well,
lot of.
Ellen,
Go on.
I just want to ask you, is there something you would like to tell the readers that maybe I haven't asked you a particular question that maybe you wanted to say something?
Um, well, obviously, if you'd like to know more, get on my website. So just type my name into Google and it'll come up. Um, but something that I like to give to everybody is live your own life, stand in your own power, be yourself, and don't be scared to do that. And if you lose friends from doing that, they won't friends. And you will gain people who
That's so
will be
true.
true heart friends. So be yourself, live your life, not anyone else's.
I love that. Oh, all right. Thank you so, so, so very much. Really, thank you so much for giving me your time. And I will definitely be contacting you for specifically in January because I'll know for sure. And I will be bringing my mom with me. That will be my gift to her also without her.
That's absolutely lovely.